Hi everyone, welcome back to another episode of Esthetician Edit. Today we are here with Jeffrey Mendoza from Skin Factory LA. I'm wearing one of his awesome shirts.
Oh my gosh.
He has a brand called Dead Skin Club and the designs are so cool. I have a few of the shirts. We're super excited. We're gonna get into so many different little things today, so many things to talk about. But you are our first male esthetician on the podcast.
I'm so honored.
Yeah. And I want to pick your brain on just like the stigma of men's skincare and treating men, and also being a male esthetician in such a female dominated industry. If you don't mind, though, starting with like, when did you even become an esthetician? What made you want to become an esthetician?
Oh my gosh. So it's so random. So originally, I was actually as a professional photographer back in like 2007, 2010, and I had a studio in Las Vegas. And during the recession, I had to close down my business. Didn't do so well, so I just took a break. Then my mom, she got sick. She was diagnosed with ovarian cancer.
Oh, wow.
So I ended up coming home here to LA. Took care of her. About after a year, she got better, and then somehow she gifted me this facial package. And at that time, I was having like really terrible skin issues. And I started going to an esthetician, getting facials. The second time I remember, the second visit, I noticed that I was seeing like really great results, and it made me really happy. And around that time I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do, what was my next step, because I didn't really want to go back into photography. And then I got this pamphlet from a skincare school. I don't know if you know Marinello. Do you remember?
No.
Okay, so it's like,
Wait, how many years ago was this?
this was in 2012.
Oh, okay. I was in high school.
Okay, all right. Oh my gosh. Yeah, so Marinello was this huge chain of schools. They were kind of like Paul Mitchell, I guess. They're
Yes,
all
yes.
over. And I remember seeing this pamphlet, and I was talking to my mom about it, and I was like, what do you think about me going to an esthetician school? And she's like, you should go for it. She was really supportive, and so I did. And I remember going to school, and I just had a blast. The school that I went to, it was physically falling apart. I remember the ceilings looked like it just survived a hurricane, but just the energy, my instructor was amazing. She was so passionate about teaching us. And that's what I loved about it. And I fell in love right then and there with skincare. And yeah, and then the rest is history.
I love it. So you've been doing it for a while. How has your practice evolved since from the very beginning, and how have you evolved as an esthetician?
So I think the evolution is, for me, is realizing what the industry needs, and seeing clients. When I first started, I probably only had like one male client. And then that's when I realized like we need more men to do skincare. And I think that after that, my goal was to really start to push more educational information so that we can get more men to do like skincare, facials. And for me, it's just a lot of guys also. I felt like we were never really encouraged to do skincare. We were never really invited into that. And it's no one's fault. I think that's just like how society is, and like everyone just kind of assumed that skincare is for women. So I think my evolution is really towards more like giving that awareness for for like guys, especially like guys who would normally think that this is only for women. So I think that I'm kind of going that direction in a sense, but also in a business sense. The evolution is also me, starting my apparel line. That's also something that I did not really plan on doing. It just kind of happened. So now I have this apparel line that I'm lucky that a lot of people love, and I'm also I have bigger plans for it, and I don't want it to be just an apparel line. I want to create something that's more of a platform for estheticians where they can learn things, like almost like an educational platform, but also create tools that are free for estheticians. Not necessarily like I don't want to have to charge estheticians because I think education should be free. So I want to provide that for the community.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, that's why Esthetician Edit is like a free platform for just SDs to learn, because I feel like everyone these days is just charging for all information and not everyone has access to it.
Right.
Yeah. What would you say is like, just based on the feedback that you get from men, what is their hesitation like coming into the treatment room? Like, do you get that feedback?
I mean, most of them are, of course, most of them I know are overwhelmed with what the skincare industry just throws at them. They think they have to do this full 10-step skincare routine to get started, when in reality, it's really just a basic cleanser, moisturizer, and sunscreen. And so when they come to me and then they find that out, they, automatically they're hooked, and I think really the best way to get men started is just give them something simple. It really is a matter of just consistency, making them consistent. So yeah.
I feel like that also applies to like women. And I want to approach this topic of like, I know even when we used to write in the magazine, we used to have like a men's section and stuff like that. So sometimes I'm like, are we separating it too much? Is there a difference between like male skin? Like, is there actually like a physical difference, or is it really just the same and we just separate it?
It's yes and no. I mean, there is a little bit of a difference when it comes to men's skin, when it comes to like collagen production. Men obviously produce a lot more collagen, 25% more than an average woman. But at the end of the day, when you look at skin and when you're trying to treat it, then it's the same way you go about any kind of skin, whether they're female, male, you're going to target it based on their skin needs, skin concern, and all of that. That's really it.
And what's it like being a male in like a female dominated industry? Do you have any clients that are females that are maybe like hesitant because you're a male to work with you?
So that's a great question. Funny enough, after I left school, I got my license. It was really hard for me to find jobs because a lot of places, first of all, didn't want to hire me because I was a newly graduate SD and they wanted somebody with experience. But I also felt that it was because I was a man in the industry. There's one particular instance. There was this salon that I applied for, and the owner specifically, she told me, we don't really think that our female clients would be comfortable of having a male esthetician work on them. So that was kind of like when I heard that, and this was at the time when I was already struggling trying to find jobs, that just kind of like that hit me a lot.
Yeah, it's discouraging.
And I was even like, this was in 2013. I'm like, is that even allowed? Like,
no, I don't think so.
Yeah. So I was really shocked and just taken aback. So, and I remember that was the time when I said to myself, well, I mean, if no one wants to hire me, then I should probably start my own and try it out, But even then, I didn't really have any business experience. I just wanted to open one because I was desperate. I went to school for nothing, like I didn't want that to happen. So opening my business was sort of like my last resort. But even then, my first year, I didn't do well, and I ended up closing down the business. I didn't reopen until like 2020.
And you said that you opened during COVID, right? What was that experience like?
It was really strange, especially in California.
Yeah.
We had a lot of restrictions. And during that time, I was actually working full-time for a fitness brand. I was one of the managers at this busy fitness studio. And when we ended up having to close down because of COVID, I had plenty of time to like do research. And it just felt right for me to open at that time. And I was really inspired by Nerida. I was watching her videos. I remember Jade.
Yes,
Yes, I
Jade
was watching
Marie.
her videos. I remember being so inspired. I'm like, I want to get back into it. So that's what I did, and I think working from home was actually an advantage because I was able to find time to really do my research and reopen. And at that time, because I was managing, I had gained experience from like how to grow a business, how to get clients, how to retain them, all of that. So I used all of that experience being a manager into like starting my own business.
So, I mean, I can kind of guess just based on you mentioning Nerida and Jade, what kind of like your skincare philosophy would be. What is your approach to the skin? Because I know everyone has a different approach.
Definitely basic, clinical and holistic. I like to mix them together. As an esthetician, I think it's really important that we focus on being results driven, but I also do want to add a little bit of that holistic touch where I don't want the clients to feel like it's a chore to do skincare. I want them to feel that it's more self care, really. So with my treatments, I incorporate my devices, my products, but I'll also do a little bit of, massage here and there. It's just, I think that it's important to de stress as much as it is to really, use devices on clients. I think they go hand in hand, right? So yeah, and just that's just what I want to do.
Yeah. No, I can tell from your like Instagram videos and stuff. I can see that you have like talented hands
Thank you.
with your face
Aw,
massage. That's
thanks.
what drew me to follow you because I'm really inspired by face massage. That's kind of like what I focus on, and you have like a very nice flow.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's something that I also really enjoy. I love I love the massage part. It's just for me, you know, it's relaxing to a client, but for me, it's also my way of just kind of slowing down. And it's one of the things that I always think about when I think about the treatment is like, oh, I did a really great massage on that person.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it's funny. Some people, it just flows right away. There are some people that I'm like, whoa, like our energies aren't
yeah,
meshing. It's like very rare, but it happens.
yeah,
But I feel like it is like an energetic thing
yeah.
for sure.
There's this thing in my like Filipino culture. It's called hilot, which is basically a massage technique where it's really all about vibes. There's no like really correct. I want to say there's no pattern that you have to follow. It's really all about just like connecting with your client, seeing what they need, and then getting that vibe from them, and then just doing it.
Yeah.
And so I've been trying to sort of incorporate that also into my massage, because sometimes, you have clients that will come in that might have a different vibe. So my job is to make sure that in a sense, we can connect, right? So that's also kind of one of the things that I like to do is just figure out my client's energy and then,
Yeah.
act from that.
Yeah, and I think sometimes it takes a bit because I've had people that are very closed off. They come one session, but then they come back, and then the second session they're talking more, they're
Right.
more open. So sometimes it's just a matter of them letting you in.
Exactly. And it's great because you get a lot of clients sometimes that have that poker face, and you never know if they really liked their treatments. But the best feeling is when you see them back.
Yeah.
You're like, okay.
The poker
did
face
great.
clients are actually the worst.
Right. And
I get, like-
sometimes they're
yeah.
shy, right? It's hard for them to like kind of show emotions, but
But it does affect your confidence, especially when you're starting out. You're like, did I do well?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, it's great to have that. I'll have clients that will come in once. I have this one client, she was just so quiet, poker face, one word answers. Okay. And I'm like, oh my gosh. So I remember working on her, and then she left, maybe said a couple words and left. And then that same day I get this notification on my email. It's like she just bought a package.
Oh, wow.
I was like, oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, that's a good feeling.
Yeah. So it's a really great feeling. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So, okay, so I know you're part of like a men's networking group. What's it like being a part of that? And how do you feel like what's the male industry like in
So, first of all, it's amazing that something like this is around. And shout out to Gail. He's the one that like started it all. But like, there's also this conference in Phoenix every year for like
what's it called?
It's called Mecca. So it's a
Mecca.
men's esthetician conference and associates, and they're on their fifth year.
Okay.
The last one was in April, but it's really, I think it's amazing, when you go there and you see like-minded estheticians, and then we all come from, even though we're men, we all still come from different backgrounds, and and it's nice to be able to have something to relate to, the one thing that we can relate to, but also learn from different people.
Yeah.
Like even me, like I learn even from like new esties, I learn from them, because there's always something to learn, and the industry is always evolving. But I think the best part about it is just to find some connection, and then seeing like new esties find us, and then they see that oh, there's people that I can like talk to, connect with, and especially after like the last conference that we went to, there were a couple of people that were very hesitant about coming because they're really shy, introverted.
Yeah.
They ended up loving it, because it's so supportive, and it's just, I feel like there's, even though there's men and then there's like regular ones, I think there should be a lot more different groups. Whether it's like non-binary estheticians or like something that people can relate to. I think those are always so important to have those little subgroups, because it's always a great feeling to feel like you belong, even though we're an entire industry and everyone is so welcoming. Sometimes you still get kind of lost because you don't know where to go.
Yeah. And I think too there's layers to it, and there are more challenges, I think, that some subgroups face, and I think that has to be like acknowledged. Even like with just with ethnicity and people of color and stuff like that, and representation and stuff. So I feel like it's within those subgroups that it can kind of just, the knowledge can be shared more,
Yeah,
I don't know if I'm explaining this correctly.
Yeah, there's like a common experience there for
common
every
experience.
subgroup, right? So like I'm also part of a small one with a bunch of Filipino estheticians.
Oh, okay.
So,
that's cool.
It's just small, like there's probably like 7 or 8 of us, but that's also really cool, to have something like that, and we can kind of relate to each other.
Yeah. I always tell estheticians, because we're always in our little box, especially if you are a solo esthetician. And I think the greatest disservice you can do for yourself is to like not network and not be out there.
Absolutely.
And I think we do a great job as an industry as far as like celebrating people's accomplishments and stuff like that. But it's just like you have to go to these events to be a part of it. You really have to put yourself out there.
You do, yeah. That's the hard part, is really putting yourself out there. And, I get it. A lot of estheticians are shy, and they, it's just human nature to like not want to put yourself in that position. But I think you have to, you have to at least try, because that's what's going to help you, is to have these connections in the industry. Like being an esthetician can be pretty lonely. Like you said, we work alone, we're in our rooms 24/7. Our families, our friends, they don't understand what we do. Like even though we share our experiences with them, like they just don't understand it the way another esthetician does. And so, just putting yourself out there, even sending a DM to an esthetician that you find inspiration from, like that could be also helpful. Like I did that when I was starting out again in 2020. I was reaching out to like estheticians, just like sending them messages. Some won't reply. I get it, they're busy, but there are some that will reply, and it's nice to have that, and then it's nice to be able to ask just questions.
I'm sure now you get DMs.
Yes, and I try to answer them as much as I can.
I'm sure you get
but
DMs.
It's hard. Like I have my ADHD also is like all over the place.
So what do you see next for Skin Factory LA? Do you have like a vision of the next 5 years, or are you kind of just like in the present moment?
So I'm actually currently working on a second location.
Ooh.
It's a different one. It's a different concept that I'm working on. It's actually, it's going to be more clinical actually, because
Okay.
what I do is a little bit more a mix of, they're longer appointments, but there's the one that I'm working on is something hopefully that's more scalable, where I can hopefully like hire like a team, maybe start with like 2 to 3 estheticians. And the challenge right now is really trying to figure out how to price the services, because I want to create an environment where estheticians get a fair wage.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
really like working on that, trying to figure out like how can you hire an esthetician that, because I know a lot of estheticians have this have this challenge. A lot of them work for companies and they don't just get paid enough.
Yeah.
Some of them have to get like second jobs, and I think that it's like really important to have a place where estheticians feel like they don't have to get a second job. Especially like the ones starting out, and it's just, anyway, back to what I want to say is like, I want something that's more scalable, but also I'm including more, I'm incorporating more AI technology into it, because I think that's where we're headed also with
Cool.
skincare. So it's really exciting. I'm working on that. I have a few things that I'm testing it. I'm fact checking it. I'm trying to break it. So I'm just kind of in that stage right now. But it's going to be really exciting to have something like this in a new studio.
Yeah. No, I definitely think that like when you see a gap in the industry, if you're like the one that kind of even needs that, you feel the need, I say like go for it. And I think it's amazing that you're like going for it. You have this vision. And then also too, what you said about like hiring a team. What I notice is that when the owners aren't licensed estheticians themselves, that's typically when they don't treat the estheticians as well.
Right.
I've experienced that. Just even I used to go visit a lot of spas and stuff and interview estheticians, and I noticed the ones that were owned by licensed estheticians, the team was treated better.
Right.
So I think it's definitely just
because they can relate.
They can relate. It's all about
yeah.
relatability completely.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah. And then so your shirt, or it's not just an apparel line, right? Or you want to expand it. Do you mind talking a bit about like where the idea even came from?
Yeah, it actually started as a joke.
Really?
So I was already creating apparel for my clients when I first opened. So another thing, like I have a background in graphic design, so I was actually working for the fitness company that I worked for. I did a lot of apparel designs for them. So when I opened my place, it just made sense for me to have an apparel line for my clients. And then it was during one of the times I was trying to create a design, and just somehow like Dead Skin Club kind of came up, and I was just like, because it was around during Halloween.
Oh, okay.
And I started making shirts that are like kind of sort of in that same like realm. And then I came up with that. And I remember sending it to my cousin, and she was like, "Oh, this is really cool. I think this would sell." And then I just remember being like, "What if I just?" It was like, "That's Skin Club. That sounds like an actual apparel like brand,
Yeah.
And that's when I was just like, hey, "Why don't I just make let me try and test making like 5 designs and then see if estheticians would actually buy them." So I worked on a few designs, and I remember kind of announcing it, and then just having just launch date. And then I launched it in 2022. And the first day I launched it, I had over 100 orders.
Oh my goodness.
And I was so overwhelmed. I was literally crying in my little solo studio, and I was just like, oh, this is so cool.
Yeah.
Oh, I still want to cry thinking
Yeah.
but it's just really cool to have like that much support from, like the industry. And for them to actually embrace what I do, because it's something that I also love to do outside of skincare is, I'm a very creative person, to be able to do something like that for my community is actually, just makes me feel good.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't know you designed them. So hearing that even makes it more special because the designs are actually really beautiful. They're
Thank
really
you.
cool. Like I have one that has like a whole flower thing going on in
Yes.
the back. Like you guys need to check out his designs. They're awesome. But I think that estheticians, we just love that. We love to kind of say, I'm an esthetician. Like
Yeah.
we're very proud of our jobs and stuff.
Absolutely.
And I think the shirts, like when we wear them, we feel proud.
Yeah, it gives, I just want to give, people that identity. And, I wanted to make shirts that I would also like wear. Then why not share it to everyone else?
Okay, if you could share one piece of advice with an aspiring esthetician, maybe even I like to think of it like if you can go back to your younger self and give that person one version of you, one piece of advice,
Yeah.
what would it be?
Ooh. Stop waiting for things to be perfect. Stop waiting to feel ready. Just do it. No one's ready. No one's going to be perfect. You're going to fail no matter what. The thing that you need to learn is to embrace those failures and learn from them, because that's the only way you're going to grow. And it's failure is not the end, really. To me, I see it as more of a redirection of where you're supposed to be. So just feel free to experiment, do everything as much as you can, because that's the only way you'll get that experience.
Yeah, I think that's kind of like a little bit of the purpose of this podcast too, is like, because I'm a newer esthetician, I'm still kind of getting to know what type of esthetician am I, like my philosophy, what I believe in, what I don't. So I want everyone to listen and gather, information and then come up with their own.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like do your own thing, just you can try one lane, and then if it doesn't work out, you can always kind of, redirect yourself somewhere else. If it's not hitting, then do something else. But don't just wait. Don't just sit there and, because you're never gonna know unless you experience it.
Unless you try.
Yeah.
What are like the greatest lessons you've learned by facing challenges like in your business?
The greatest lessons I've learned. I mean, there's specific challenges. I would say a lot of it really has to do with like my mental health, and just having boundaries. And I wish that I gave myself more boundaries in the beginning.
Like with clients?
With clients, with also like, just like working with people like in the industry, I just kind of felt like saying yes to so many things kind of felt like that also was one of the things that like, if I didn't say yes, I'm not gonna grow, or like it's not gonna get me to the next stage. But in reality, it's really just about, like it's, if you're not taking care of your mental health, but you're doing so much, like that's not, your success isn't really gonna mean anything.
Yeah.
If you're not taking care of yourself.
Yeah. No, I think your health, your mental health is like your happiness is the most important thing.
Yeah.
Everything else comes second, third,
Exactly. Yeah.
Do you have any practices that you do, or just anything that keeps your mental health in check?
Yeah, I definitely in the morning I like to have my little routine of making my matcha and then having my overnight oats that I made from the night before.
Yeah.
And then going to the gym, like right after. Going to the gym is really important for me. Like I start my day a little later seeing clients, so like I don't start early. I start at 11. So that way I can give myself that time to like work out, take care of myself. And then that way, once I do that, once I've, put fuel in myself, then I can give that to my clients,
I actually started doing that recently because I was starting at 9. Now I start at 11. And I get myself happy and full before I see clients, because by the end of the day, you're really like exhausted. You give a lot, right?
Exactly. Yeah. And it's hard. I'm also like not a morning person, even though I wake up early. I wake up at like 6, but like I just don't have the brain capacity to do anything like the first few hours. So that's why I like my morning like matcha. I'll sit on my couch. I'll just I'll walk my dogs. I'll play with them, things like that. And that's kind of like that's like a little my meditation routine in a sense, you know. And then once I do that, then I'll do a quick workout. I like going to classes because they're short.
Okay.
And so they're like 45-hour long classes, and then I'm done for the day, and then I'll get ready, shower, go to work.
It seems like you know yourself and you're like honoring yourself.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people would say like, oh no, I need to do what, you know, is expected of me. Or even sometimes we put upon like these expectations of like what everyone else is doing onto ourselves. But like, even for me, I mean, I don't know about you, how many clients you see a day, but I've been finding like sometimes I push it, but like 4 is like, whew. And it also depends on the service you do. I do a lot of like massage and stuff. After 4, I'm a little bit like not liking my past self for booking that 5th one.
Yep. I'm exactly like you. Actually, mine is more like I see 3 clients, and the 4th will be dependent on who it is.
Oh, okay.
You know, if it's a client that I already know, I would not mind having them like, you know, like towards like the end of the day or even in the beginning. But 3 is really like my max. So, because after that, I also like to, you know, I have the apparel stuff. I have, you know, I have to do all of that stuff. Like, so I'll go home and then still work at home. But yeah, like after the 4th client, I don't have the energy. And it's also like, you know, it's not fair for the client.
Yeah, not at
you know,
all.
for the client that you're going to see after. If you don't have the energy for them, then they're paying you premium money, and then you're giving them, you know, service that doesn't match it.
Exactly.
It's just not fair for them.
Yeah, I agree. I think you're a perfect representation of like versatility, and that you can go beyond the treatment room and do so many different things. And I always find, I've said this before on the podcast, there's like 2 different types of estheticians. There's the ones that are just very like, you are clinical as well, but like that's all they talk about is science and just like clinical. But then there's the creatives. And I feel like this is such a good career to have if you are a creative.
Absolutely.
So in the beginning, did you struggle with that, or have you just always been like allowed yourself to be free enough to just like create different things?
Yeah, I think I've always just been, when I went into it, especially in 2020, when I opened a business, I just told myself that if I was going to create a business for myself, I wanted it to be a business for me. You know, I want to create something that really fits who I am as a person. So throwing in my creativeness was something that I never even like, you know, considered.
Expected.
I just knew I was going to be doing that.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Where can our listeners find you?
So you can find me on Instagram at Skin Factory LA. I also have a TikTok account that I just created maybe 2-3 months ago. It's actually at Facials by Jeff.
Okay.
And then, yeah, that's it. And then, you know, you can grab your apparel at deadskinclub.com.
Yes.
I just uploaded these really cool tools for estheticians on the website also. So there's a service pricing calculator.
Oh, okay.
So if anyone wants to like kind of know like how much they want to charge their clients based on like the costs per treatment, and based on their goals, like it's a really cool calculator that you can try out.
Cool.
You know? And
I
also
need to do
there's
that.
a policy generator. So if you don't have a policy, if you're just starting out, or if you want to rebrand, you can also go on the website, and it'll create you a policy based on what you want.
That's so cool. And I feel like that's just the beginning of like the whole platform that you
Yes.
want to create.
There's a lot more that I'm planning to add on there. I really want it to be a community. You know, like it's getting shirts is great, but like why not make it more of a community and also resource for a lot of estheticians?
Yeah, this just came to my head, but I feel like we talked about subgroups and stuff like that. But there's another type of community, and it's like energetics. So like who's drawn to you is who, like we're all going to be different, you know, doesn't matter.
Exactly.
But energetically, you're going to find your tribe. You're creating your tribe, which is
Exactly.
awesome.
Yeah.
Cool.
So that's really important, you know?
Yes.
And yeah.
Alrighty. Well, thank you for listening, and we'll put all of the links that Jeffrey shared with us in the show notes. But until next time, bye guys.